Good morning, students. The further explanation, page number 78. The governor heard what was talked on the phone between Stephens and Jackson. He heard the door being shut and he also heard McCleary announcing the beginning of the exam. It was 9:25 a.m. and there was a great peace. At 9:40 a.m., the assistant secretary for modern language called up from the examination board to speak to the governor. The examination has already started about a quarter of an hour ago. He told him that some fool had no place the constant correction slip in the examination package. He then tried to seek help from the governor. The receiver assures him of help by directly connecting to call to Mr. Jackson in D Wing. Now from was the short till the next page that was short till the next page that staccato means a short musical note. Staccato means a short musical note. Scots means another term for Scottish. Scot means another term for Scottish. Could this be the reason behind his fear? The governor thought. A line of thought came to his mind about the call being a fake call used to share some signals or secret message. He then cross-checked it by dialing the number of examination board. He heard the sound of continuous beep, which one hears if the phone is engaged. After a gap of 2 minutes, he heard some whisper. After a while, he heard McCleary giving instruction to the Evans in his heavy Scottish voice. He asked him to stop writing for a while and he also instructed him to open page 3. Here, he gave him some instruction as to make corrections of fourth word in the fifth line. Now, explanation from the governor learned till right. The governor listened and smiled because he had taken German as a language when he was in 6th class. He remembered about the adjective and so did McCleary. The minister's pronunciation of the words sounded very impressive to the governor, but he thought there were less chance of Evans being aware of the adjectives. Meanwhile, he received a call from the magistrate. That was the need of a person when and some officer as there was a remain case. With the next 2 months, the governor thought it to be a fake call, but then he thought that he was thinking too much. His imagination was getting out of control. Now he wants till for the first quarter till the beard. Stare means gaze. For the first 15 minutes, Stephens had looked into the cell through the peephole after a gap of every 1 minute and then after a gap of 2 minutes. At 10:40 a.m., everything seemed normal when he looked through the hole. There was no difference and it remained the same as always. Yvonne was always chewing his pan and looking at the front. McCleary always seated on his chair, a bit tilt on one side and his face partly turned. Stephens had noticed him earlier that his hair was cut very short near the scalp. He was reading the church time through his spectacles and his first finger was under his collar. The finger of the left hand were nicely manicured. He was softly touching his blanket beard. Now at 9:50 till silence. At 10:50 am, the phone rang. After a while, the governor found that he had almost forgotten about Evans. He then heard Evans seeking permissions from the supervision to wrap a blanket around his shoulder. As he was feeling cold there, McCleary allowed him. Now, from at 10:50 am till observation. At 12:20 am till more. At 10:50 am, Stephens opened the peephole and was surprised to see Evans sitting with a blanket on his shoulder. It seemed strange to him and even thought of reporting Jackson for this new change he had noticed. He again looked at him and noticed that Evans pulled the dirty blanket close to himself. Now, Stephen was getting doubtful about Yvonne. He even thought that he could harm McCleary by suffocating him with his blanket. But then he told himself that he should not behave so foolish, as there is no sun on this side of prison, not even in the summer. It is normal that cell gets chilly, so he decided to return back to his every minute check through the peephole. At 11:20 a.m., once again the governor's phone rang. Meanwhile, McCleary told Yvonne that only 5 minutes were left for the exam to be completed. Governor was still doubtful about something, but he went to receive the call. Now from at 11:20 to till exchange. At 11:22, Jackson shouted to Stephen as the governor wanted to talk to him. He ran up and listened carefully to each and everything ordered to him. It was his duty to accompany McCleary to the main gate of the prison. Stephens had to be fully assured about Yvonne's cell being properly locked. When McCleary leaves it at 11:25 a.m., the governor heard the final talks between Evans and the McCleary. Now, from McCleary till Slimmer. Now, from the McCleary till Slimmer. McCleary asked Yvonne to stop writing. He also told him to arrange his sheets in order. Then the sound of movement of chairs was heard. Yvonne said thank you to McCleary. He inquired as how his exam was. Yvonne replied that it was not too bad. He then called Mr. Stephens. The governor heard the final shutting down of the door. The exam was over. Stephen asked McCleary, did Yvonne's exam go well? McCleary said he didn't think so. His Scottish accent seemed to be a bit different from his earlier one. Moreover, his overcoat was now reaching close to his knees, leading to the imagination that he had suddenly turned slave. Now Stephens till bolts. Stephens was happy as the governor chose his over Jackson to accompany McCleary off the premises. Everything was done fine this day. He thought he stopped him from going to the canteen for an overdue cup of coffee. He wanted to see Yvonne for one last time. It seemed to him like a TV program in which the lady is never sure of locking the door before going to bed, and she would get up 12, 15 or even 20 times to check the bolts. Now he re-entered till the another page, that is cloth. Till cloth. Stephens again entered into the D wing and he once again opened the pee hole of Yvonne's cell. When he looked inside through it, he cried on Christ as he was shocked to see the situation inside. For a few seconds he thought it was Stephens on his chair, but it was not so. The churchman was lying back, his hair was soaked in the blood. The blood was flowing down horribly from his beard to his collar, and then on his black overcoat. Stephen shouted for Jackson's so loudly that even McCleary, whose ear was filled with blood, was able to hear it. The churchman was weakly searching for the hanky to stop the blood flowing from his head. The hanky got soaked in the blood. He cried out of pain. He tried to speak but couldn't do so. By the time Jackson came and ordered Stephens to call the police and ambulance. The hanky got fully soaked in the blood and now it was making a soft suckling sound when pressure was applied to it. Now, McCleary till Grim. McCleary raised himself and tells them that they should not worry about him as he is fine. He asked for the governor as he knew where Yvonne had gone. The blood was splashing down from his head while he was trying hard to pick up the German cushions paper. All of a sudden there was a massive sound of sirens. Officers were giving away orders. Doors were being opened and shut and the phones were ringing. Stephens and Jackson supported McCleary to the governor's office. His face was coated with dry blood when he was greeted by the governor at the prison yard. The governor looked puzzled. Now we must get till the next page, that is him. The governor wanted to take McCleary to the hospital, but he insisted on calling the police. He then opened up the German cushion paper and moved it toward the governor. He wanted to show something important to him. The governor noticed that a photocopied sheet was cleverly laid on the blank space of the question paper. The governor tried to recall what he had learnt in his German classes. He was willing to translate the text. Now, on the next page, Scheitel him. The governor tried to translate it. He was only able to translate it partly. It was written that everything should go by the plan. The important thing was that he had to do this just 3 minutes before the end of the exam. He was told to hit on McClary's head and was warned for not ordering his Scottish accent. Meanwhile, the sound of fast moving siren reached its highest point, and while police car entered into the yard, Detective Superintendent Carter waved out from his car and saluted the governor. He inquired about what has happened and looked worried when he asked as to who hit the churchman. Now, but till Gravel. McClary interrupted in between and said that Evans had gone to Elsfield. He was breathing heavily when he told so. Carter looked confused and tried to seek clarity from the governor. The governor told him to take him as only he knew where Evans had gone. Carter helped McClary sit inside and within a few seconds the car sprayed the little stones behind it. This means that the car left the place at a great speed. Now, Elswith till the last line, examination board on the next page. The government recalled that McClary had said Elsfield Way. He started reading the text again and discovered that it was a route towards the examination board. He then concluded that somebody from the examination board had helped him. He then turned toward Jackson and Stephens and scolded them in a very insulting manner to help Evans walk out of the prison. Stephens mumbled that it was he who did it because the governor had ordered him to do so. Governor was surprised to hear this and he said that he never did this. Stephens tells him the time when he called him. The governor once again scolded them for not understanding that it was a fake call. He then realized that it was of no use as it was he who was called the examination board with a failed attempt. Student, now the next page. From He Shook Till Aurat. The governor was growing hopeless. He scolded senior prison officer Jackson for being so confident about his abilities. He had spent 2 hours of checking Yvonne's cell and had declined it to be called okay. But the reality was that Yvonne was able to hide a false beard, spectacles, and other clerical stuff inside the cell. He also had a weapon which he used to hit McClary in such a trembling way. Now, a prison till got that. That is on the next page, page number 85. The prison van came behind, but the governor did not move. He again looked. Student, I am explaining you till once more. Till here. Governor jumped the stairs to his office and called up Bell. He explained the entire situation to him. Bell said that he will catch him, but was with some luck. The governor sat on his chair and started thinking while he lit up his cigarette. He thought it was a nice plan but felt that Yvonne was careless to leave the question paper behind. He then admitted them make a mistake like Yvonne's and they reassured him that the mistakes of Yvonne's will again bring him back to the prison. Now, the phone till right. The phone till right. Once again, the phone rang very harsh on his desk. Carter informed him that McClary had spotted him in a car at Elsfield Way. They chased him as they had noted down his number, but soon lost him at Hennington Downboard. Governor informed him that Yvonne was on the way to Newbury. He then explained as to why he thinks he is going towards Newbury and then left it on the police as according to him his job was done. He had already become a laughing stock for others for being over trustful person. He also then inquired about McClary being taken to the hospital. Next, yes, still. Yes, still. The next page, that is not a sign. Carter said that he had been taken to Redcliffe Hospital. He also told him that McCleary had grown very weak when they took him to the examination office. So they rang up the ambulance from there. Governor called in the hospital and inquired about the injured person. They replied that they had sent the ambulance to bring the patients, but they found no one there. But the governor was no longer listening. The truth seemed to hit him with an almost physical impact somewhere in the back of his neck. Thank you, students.